kind of sad when a random person on Twitter is promoting your movie more than the actual studio? Yep, I saw Transformers 1, and I feel like I should say I know next to nothing about the Transformers series. Like, I watched a little bit of one of the later shows when I was like a really little kid, so I have like very vague memories of it, but that's about it. I have not seen any of the live-action movies, nor do I intend to, and I haven't seen the original animated series, or I heard Transformers Prime was a newer one, I heard that was good, but like, I've never seen any of that, so yeah, I was going to this movie pretty blind. I obviously know like the general premise and stuff, I know a few of the characters, but for the most part, this is very much from a newcomer's perspective. Now, with that said, I was very pleasantly surprised at how good this movie is. Like, I had in curiosities when I saw the trailer. I'm like, okay, that could be good, that could be bad. It's one of those things where I'll wait and see what people are saying about it before I decide whether or not I finally see it myself. And I've heard pretty much nothing but positive things about it. A lot of people are saying, like, it's really good, you gotta see it, because, yeah, it's not doing very well, because, like I said, the marketing department was not good and not plentiful for it. But, so I decided to finally check it out, and yeah, honestly, this is a very good, very solid, very engaging movie. I am very pleasantly surprised. In case you're unaware, this film is definitely a prequel to the Transformers just franchise as a whole. Like, it's not really a tie-in to any specific show or specific movie, at least I don't think it is, but even then, like I said, if you haven't seen those like me, you can go into this pretty blind. So it takes place on the planet called Cybertron, which is obviously populated by giant robots called Transformers, with the original ones, that being the biggest and most powerful ones, being called Primes. And it was powered by this thing called the Matrix of Leadership, but one day the Matrix of Leadership suddenly went missing, and all of the Primes were eventually wiped out, except for one, that being Sentinel, who made it his mission to try and find the Matrix of Leadership once again, but in order to do so, they need more power. So the current robots, or whatever, Transformers, they go by different names or whatever, but I'll just call them Transformers for the sake of it. Now, a lot of them have to go mining underground to find, like, smaller versions of a power source in order to essentially fuel the planet. And two of these mining robots are, of course, Orion Pax and D16, or what most people would know them as, Optimus Prime and Megatron, because, yes, if you didn't see the trailer, you know that, at least in this movie, they were originally friends, despite being mortal enemies in every other piece of media, which is pretty interesting. I know this type of concept has been done well before, but this one definitely does it well, and does enough, I think it adds enough to keep it feeling fresh. I think it's done really well. Unfortunately, the miners can't transform due to them missing, like, a special cog that is what allows them, because, you know, the whole point of Transformers is they can transform into vehicles and stuff, but they can't do that, so Orion and D16 can't, or I'll just call them Optimus Prime and Megatron for the sake of it, because, you know, that's what most people know them as they don't get those names until later in the movie, but whatever, it's not really important. So, basically, Optimus Prime tricks Megatron into entering this special race for a bunch of robots, because despite the fact that they can't transform, he thinks it's gonna, like, be able to inspire the miners to, like, step up and prove that they're more capable of what the people originally thought they were. And, well, of course, this does get the attention of Sentinel, who's, like, very impressed with what they can do. Their boss, Darkwing, is not pleased and winds up throwing them, like, in this trash room or whatever with this other guy, Bumblebee, who's, again, one of the other most prominent members of the Transformers. But while in the garbage disposal, they find an old beacon that has a message and a location from the original Primes, and they think that that is where they can find, if not the Matrix, then at least they can find something that'll help them. So they go to get it alongside this other robot, what's her name? Alita, that's her name, who was working with them. They accidentally got her fired, but she's hoping to get it back. Yeah, again, it's not really important, so it's mainly those four going to get the Matrix and stuff. Obviously, it changes a bit, but I won't give away exactly what happens. Right off the bat, I'd say the world is very interesting. The design isn't, I wouldn't say is hugely amazing, but some of the stuff they do, like explaining how the world works and stuff like that, and how it's split into two different categories, both the surface world, which is, like, really dangerous, but then they're mostly underground and stuff. I think that's a pretty cool concept idea. Like I said, all of the characters are very well designed. The animation as a whole is really freaking good. The character designs are really unique, and honestly, the voice acting is surprisingly really solid. Like, if you did not tell me Chris Hemsworth was voicing Optimus Prime in this, I would not have guessed that. He legit does a really good job, and I feel bad I can't remember who voices Megatron, but he's even better. Like, he is phenomenal in this role, and a lot of the other voice actors also do a really good job too. Easily the strongest aspect of this movie is the dynamic between Optimus Prime and Megatron. Like I said, we know what's gonna happen, their friendship is eventually going to dissolve and stuff, but it really works in here because, like, they have legit really good chemistry in the beginning of the movie, and you can easily see Megatron's descent into madness. Like, I obviously won't give it away too much, but I will say there is a pretty predictable twist in the movie with Sentinel. Again, I won't say exactly what it is, but it's pretty predictable, but thankfully they reveal it fairly early on, and that is what the catalyst is for Megatron's descent. Like, you honestly, part of you does find yourself rooting for him, but, like, he does go further and further down the wrong path, and by the end, you can tell where he's coming from, but you don't want him to do this thing. Like, it is legit really compelling. I think this is a very well done story. The biggest complaint most people seem to have is the comedy, and it was definitely the thing most people were hesitant about when they saw the trailer, myself included. I wouldn't say the comedy in this movie is awful. There are some legit pretty good jokes in here, but it's not very memorable, and a lot of them just kind of have you, like, roll your eyes and stuff. Like I said, it doesn't really bring down the movie a notch, but it's not exactly that great. And there is another problem I have with this movie, which I don't know if too many people are going to agree with me on this. While the action scenes are really good, at least for the first couple of them, I think the editing is a little too choppy. There are some parts where it, like, cuts way too fast. You can't really see what's going on. It's a little unpleasant, but with that said, the action is pretty good, and thankfully that does get a lot better as it goes on, because the third act of this movie and the climax are phenomenal. Again, both from a story perspective, a character perspective, and an action perspective, it is super well done. Like, you really feel the intensity of what's going on. Megatron's, like, final descent is legit shocking. Like, there was a moment that honestly almost made me gasp. It is really compelling, because, again, you know something like this is going to happen, but it's done so well, and it really succeeds in making you care about the characters that it's great. It's really good. And what happens with Optimus Prime and him at the end is really interesting, and also has this great sense of tragedy to it. And again, the action is really cool. Like I said, the earlier scenes can be a little choppy and stuff with the editing, but the climax is phenomenal. It is some really awesome action. It is really cool. Also, I will admit there are some things in this movie that are a little underdeveloped. Like I said, the world is pretty cool, though I think it could have used a little more fleshing out and a little more unique design. And again, mild spoilers, there's these aliens that are supposed to be like this big, massive threat, but we barely see them. They are relevant to the story, but like in terms of like what they actually are and stuff, we don't really see them that much. But I would have liked to see a bit more of that, but I don't know, maybe they'll be saving it for a sequel, which I really hope we get, because this movie didn't done amazing at the box office, but a lot more people have been talking about it and saying more people need to see it, so I really hope it does get more of a following as it goes on, because like I said, this is a surprisingly very good movie. I am really glad I saw it. I think it's easily worth checking out, even if you're not a Transformers fan like I am, because like I said, I don't really know much about the series. I thought this movie was a really solid time. I wouldn't say this is one of the all-time best animated movies of the year, but at the very least, it is a very solid one. I really enjoyed this movie, and I'm giving it an easy 8 out of 10.